think of the zodiac, resurrection, or ancient cosmology, it's easy to relegate them to myth or metaphor, stories of another time, another people. But what if those ancient codes weren't just stories, listeners? What if they were living blueprints quietly shaping the way we think, feel, and move through life today? Welcome back, listeners, to Cosmic Confluence. And for this conversation, I am sitting down today with Reginald Martin, who is a spiritual architect and creator of Kametaphysics, to explore how ancient Kemetic science meets modern psychology and how cosmology is not something out there in the stars, but something that already is alive inside us. So, this isn't about dogma or belief. It's about uncovering the hidden scripts that govern our worth, our fear, our power, and our capacity to resurrect our truest identity. So, Reginald, welcome to the show, and I'm really, really honored to have you here with us.
Sana, thank you for having me here. And your introduction and the way that you explained that was so powerful and beautiful. So thank you for that. That sets a great stage for us.
Thank you, Reginald, for your kind words. To begin with, let's try to understand cosmology in modern life. So, your work suggests that ancient cosmology isn't symbolic; it is structural. So, even if people don't believe in astrology or religion, you say they are still living out these archetypes. So, can you share how something like the zodiac or the resurrection cycle actually shows up in everyday lives today?
Yeah, so absolutely. And a lot of times we do get locked into the dogma and we don't realize what these ancient the foundation of these ancient of these ideas that we know today, you know. So just the idea of the sun itself, that was the original knowledge and information, and the sun was used as a metaphor for us. So that's what really religion is built on, and a lot of people don't realize it. But the sun and the sun and the son, they become a play on words. So really, the idea of the crucifixion is when you use the sun as a metaphor. It is when the sun meets the horizon and then goes
Mhm.
below. And the sun for the ancients was said that the sun died. Okay, the sun. But in actual and what they used that for was a metaphor for us as souls incarnating on the earth plane. So when the sun goes below the earth, below the horizon, that was them saying that the sun is leaving the heavens and going into the earth plane. That is the same for us as souls. So every soul is that light that has incarnated into the physical world. So that's how one way that you can look at that is how that is connected.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think. Go ahead, Reginald.
No, I was gonna say, so the crucifixion is actually about us. So it's not about one person. It's actually something that is a framework that happens to any and every soul that incarnates on earth. So we are the light of the world that is basically incarnated into the earth plane.
Wow, and that's you know such a powerful reframe because it's almost like gravity. Like we may not see it, but we feel its pull in the way our lives move in cycles. Um, and
Yes.
and uh, and I don't know, I'm not sure whether everybody will agree with this or not, but often we are not told about these uh, powerful observations or the inner cycles within us. How we are the
Yes.
light, reincarnated as physical beings on this planet. I think this is something that is not usually there, discussed or preached about.
No, it's not. And a lot of times, I think a lot of people just we've been so indoctrinated that we never go into studying these ideas. But what I found with studying these sauna is that the what the truth of them, the ancient truth of them is so much more powerful than what we've been given as religion, because a lot of times what we're taught is that to actually incarnate into the physical is a curse, that we're born sinners, and that creates a frame that ends up being something that injures all of us on some level. It makes us feel unworthy, just it creates a whole idea of there's something broken and that we need to be fixed. And the fix was of course the cure that they gave us was the idea that we could accept a savior, but all of those things make us end up being beholden to or dependent on something outside ourselves or some power outside of ourselves in order to make things right. That ends up injuring us as a whole.
True, true, true. I mean, I think this definitely, calls for an intersection between um, having that hope as well as taking actions as well, so that we do not lose our own identity in the process.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that that's one of the things that I do, son, is I help people that are transitioning from these dogmatic beliefs to becoming more spiritual, and it's when they're deconstructing from these dogmatic limiting beliefs. And it is when you're in that belief system, it is an identity. It is part of who you are. And when you lose that, you can feel like you're just unmoored. You can feel like you're not connected, or you don't know which way is up and which way is down once you disconnect from that. But the what I teach and how I position these ideas is that it helps you to reconstruct from a to a new identity. So instead of being thought of as a born sinner, in the ancient context, you are an aspect of God that's incarnated into the earth plane to learn how to become.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. True. And you know, uh, religion is something that is very, very sensitive. I mean, there's sometimes almost fear in kind of expressing our deepest, most truest feelings out there. So
Yes.
have you kind of encountered any skepticism around this, or any kind of you know uh, contradictions from people with with conventional belief systems, saying that this is just a mere coincidence, there's nothing
Yeah.
big.
Would you consider death threats a s- some resistance?
I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that. Oh my goodness.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so I've actually had people, online that make death threats towards me. So yeah, I've had some resistance, but these are people again, they're so indoctrinated a lot of times they're not even open to listening to the ideas. But once people do open to the ideas, Sana, they see the truth in them and the power in them and how it can empower them. But when people choose to remain indoctrinated, I don't try to change those people's minds. That's not what I'm here for. What I feel like I'm here for is to help the people who are already stepping out, that they've already begun to question and they need a safe space in order to do that.
Absolutely. I think curiosity and asking the right questions is what sustains humanity. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
I mean, reasoning, that is something, a gift which has been given to us. And it's kind of a superpower that we should definitely utilize.
Oh, absolutely. And seeing that's the way the ancients looked at it, was that being born and being incarnated was a gift, because you get to exercise. And the way I like to say this is that we are all seeds of the infinite, learning how to expand into our infinite selves. You know? That's the way the ancients looked at it. So it wasn't a curse. It wasn't you had a fall or anything like that. You chose, all of us chose to be here. And when you're talking about astrology, all that is about is the energies that are coalescing when you are born that really imprints a signature on your being, you know? So
Yep.
it's very all of it is very powerful.
I love that. I love that. And Reginald, you were explaining, before we started the show, very beautifully you explained about the cycles, the cosmic cycles, along with our soul cycles. Um, I,
Mhm.
I I would love our listeners to hear about that. So, although we do have less time, but I would really love to have you, give a glimpse into that.
Sure,
For
sure. Do you want me to share that, that screen or
Please go ahead. Go ahead.
okay, yeah, I can share that with them and just show them what the ancient cycles were and what they meant. So can you see that screen now? Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm showing here is a diagram of how the ancients used. So this is how astrology and the soul are connected in the ancient ways of thinking. So what we're looking at here is just a wheel that's showing the cycle of the sun, okay? And each cycle is connected to uh, a a normal holiday that we all know, okay? So over here, this is where actually the crucifixion happens, okay, on the cross. So the cross is actually the four elements of earth, air, fire, and water that we need to actually incarnate into the earth plane. Okay. So that's the crucifixion. The actual death of this is the death of a soul, not a human being. The death of a soul is forgetting that you are a soul. Okay. And the whole story, all the stories in the Bible are essentially about the soul traveling and becoming aware of who it is as a soul. So it forgets at incarnation. Then at Christmas, that's the darkest night that you're just going through your most difficult times in life and you don't remember how powerful you are. And then Easter is when you resurrect and you remember who you are as a soul. You remember your power. And that's this story is about us, okay? Not some miracle person. These are frameworks that the ancients were giving us to remember, to help us remember who we are and what the journey is like.
Hmm. Wow. So it's like the seasons of cycle. Sorry, the cycle of seasons and then the soul cycle as well. Like
Yes,
that's
we are nature and nature is us. That's the way the ancients looked at it. We're all nature connected. And how I like to explain this, Sana, is like you can think of the way the ancients thought of God as if God was a sea of consciousness. Then we are all drops in that sea. Okay? So in order to make up a sea, you have to have a multitude of drops. But that sea is also in every drop. So in that way, we're connected to nature, and nature is us, and we are nature. So this is how the sun becomes a metaphor for our journey as the spark of the creator incarnating into the earth plane. The astrology and all of that stuff is connected to all of this.
yeah, this is a beauty. This is a beauty. Yeah. And I
It's
mean,
it's extremely powerful.
yeah, I mean, rationally it makes a lot of sense. I mean, if we look at this from a very logical or rational perspective, also, I mean, this is so much like each individual experiences this personally.
Yes. It makes more sense than the story that we've been given through religion.
Mm,
It makes a lot more sense.
yeah,
It's more logical.
yeah, this is wonderful. This is wonderful.
I'm hearing your gears turning over there, Sana.
Oh, one you also say that like if ancient cosmology teaches us anything, like as you have shown, um and then ancient cosmology, it's like cycles, death, rebirth, resurrection. So
Yes.
now let's look at the way forward. How can how can listeners begin honoring our own cycles today? Especially when breakdown feels like failure, like, we don't have any way out in there. There is no light. It's just darkness.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and that's something again, Sana, that's a natural cycle that many of us go through, you know? And if you're like anyone that I know, then you've had those cycles, but you've come through them, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
So when you come through them, you also come through them wiser. You learn something from having gone through that difficulty. And what usually ends up happening is that you start to reconcile the difficulties that you had to where it ends up bringing some level of inner peace for yourself, right?
Mm,
So that's really what this journey is about. It's about because a lot of times people teach in terms of trying to bypass their emotions, they're trying to bypass the pain, they're doing all of that. But the peace comes in the paradox. The peace comes when you can hold both within you and reconcile that energy to where it becomes balanced. And it's what I call paradoxical heka, is where it is the idea of vibration and sound being able to reconcile your energetic field to where you become peaceful and you move through your life peaceful. But it is at an energetic level, not just an emotional level or a physical level. Because what sickness is, what chronic illness is blocks in your energy field, you know? So when you have some type of chronic illness, it is some type of a block that you have let that has been imbalanced or unbalanced for a long period of time. And then when you can balance them, the body and the mind and the spirit reconciles it, and it can push that negative energy out, so to speak. But you don't hate the sickness, you recognize it for the signal that it's giving you, that something needs to change.
mm, that makes so much sense, Regina. That makes so much sense. I think, yeah, is because it's such a relief, that falling apart, whether it's physically, emotionally, or spiritually, it's not a proof of failure, but it's part of becoming. It's like that odd battle,
Yes.
and then you get to your spring, and then you become that fire. So
Yes. Yes, you put it beautifully when you said it's part of becoming, because the way that we've been taught to look at it, and again, it's that old frame of we're born sinners or we're cursed. We're taught to look at it as we might be being punished. Something might be, we might be cursed. We might be, we did something wrong. So now we got to pay for it. That's a whole frame that we've been taught. But in the Kemetic frame, it's about you learning how to reconcile it. Okay. It's not a curse. It is a signal that something within you needs to change. Something that you want to change, but you might not know how. But you have to look at the illness. You got to look at the pain and all of that as stair steps basically to your resurrection, to becoming more of who you are.
definitely, definitely. Oh my goodness, Reginald. This was, I think, this is such a beautiful reclamation, and a calling towards becoming more and more human, um, and also inviting to be more curious. So, if our listeners they would like to connect with you, what would be the best way?
Yeah, they can connect with me at on my Substack at reginaldmartin.substack.com, and that's where they can go. And I write a lot about this knowledge. I even have some free downloads that when they sign up for my Substack, they can get access to some free downloads and stuff too. Uh, I'm actually creating one for practitioners where it can help them with what I call, again, paradoxical heka, where they can actually help themselves and clients to reconcile these sicknesses, reconcile these trials and tribulations that they're going through. So instead of trying to, gloss over them or pass over them, you reconcile them into the paradox of being.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. I'll make sure to have all the details in the show notes. And I think this is such a beautiful beginning on a journey of healing. And thank you so much, Reginald, because you have really reminded us that resurrection isn't abstract. It's daily.
No.
Cosmology isn't out there in the stars. It is in us. And it's like choosing sovereignty over guilt, clarity over just inherited scripts, and alignment over performance. So thank you.
Oh, I love that. I love the way you put that. Thank you, Sana.
Thank you. And I absolutely appreciate, admire bravery as well, because this is like challenging the norms out there. The
Yes. And that's what we need to do.
Yeah, true. Right. So, thank you to all the listeners out there as well for devoting your time to listen to this conversation. Whether you frame it as Kemetic science, psychology, or soul wisdom, the invitation is same, to reconstruct your inner architecture so that your outer life reflects your essence, not your conditioning. So, until next week. This is Cosmic Confluence. I invite all of you to stay curious, stay grounded, and keep listening within. Thank you.